So today we'll be diving into the latest updates on the Alexa Bliss and Lilly storyline. Let's start things off with the latest update from this storyline. With the massive absence of Bray Wyatt and a show like Raw that could feel a little bit messy at times, Alexa Bliss's character is one of the main attractions for Raw. There's a lot of fans out there that only watch Raw to see what's going on with Alexa Bliss. She's of course carrying the weight of her own story and has to sort of carry Bray's story as well until he returns. So there's a lot going on there, lots of story potential, but things have been really stretched out over the last few months. It's going on 2 months since Lilly was first introduced, and Alexa Bliss still hasn't stepped foot into the ring, so it's definitely been dragged out for a bit. Alexa Bliss started talking about this target that she had her eyes on, but never mentioned who it was. Well now, looking back at the last few weeks, it looks like Alexa Bliss did mark Shayna Baszler as the target during that tag team match several weeks ago. Alexa Bliss used her powers from the ramp and made Shayna's leg go out in the middle of the match. A lot of fans criticized that moment for being a bit over the top and unrealistic. But go back and watch Fastlane. Alexa literally dropped the stage lights from the ceiling and no one really said a word. That's just who her character is. She has these abilities and powers, so it makes sense for her. Now, if someone like Charlotte came out there waving their finger and Shayna's leg went out, that'd be a little bit ridiculous. But since it was Alexa Bliss and we know that she has the abilities, the leg moment with Shayna does make sense in Alexa's universe. So that seems to be the first clue and answer to who the target was. Alexa would then invite Tamina and Natalya into the playground, and Alexa seemed to get excited when talking about Reginald getting beat up. Those comments from Alexa Bliss was followed up by her attacking Reginald with fire for 3 weeks straight. But what happened each of those 3 times that Reginald was attacked with the fire? All 3 of those instances resulted in Shayna Baszler getting distracted and losing a match. So Reginald was the exact target of those attacks, but it looks like Alexa was using him in order to reach her actual target, which was Shayna Baszler. We sort of get confirmation of that during Raw. Alexa invited Reginald into the playground and doesn't seem hostile with him at all. She celebrates the win with him until they're interrupted by Shayna Baszler. Shayna Baszler takes out Reginald and takes his spot on the playground to address Alexa Bliss. Alexa informs Shayna that she wasn't invited to the playground. Alexa also reveals that Lilly really doesn't like Shayna. Shayna says that Alexa is becoming a big problem and points to Reginald to show Alexa how she handles her problems. Shayna says that they need to have a chat and says that she'll see Alexa next week. Shayna then gets on a knee and speaks directly to Lilly and says that she's just a stupid doll. Lilly and Alexa seem to exchange words, and Alexa nods her head intensely before looking in Shayna's direction. So this was easily the most important segment for Alexa and Lilly in over 2 months. It looks like progression is finally being made and we're finally going to get somewhere with Lilly. It doesn't sound like Shayna and Alexa will have a match next week. Shayna did say she'll see Alexa next week, but referred to it as a chat. So judging by Shayna's word, it may be a segment where Shayna invites Alexa Bliss out to the ring to talk. But what we have to also remember was Shayna's most important line, which was her last line where she says Lilly is just a stupid doll. Yeah, that line sounds like a children's insult, but in this specific case, that line holds a lot of weight. Alexa tried to warn everyone about Lilly and the things Lilly has made her do, but everyone waves Lilly off just being a doll, and that Alexa is just crazy and weird. Obviously, the other superstars don't believe everything with Lilly, but us the viewers know that everything Alexa says about Lilly is most definitely true. So when it comes to Lilly, we obviously can't hear her speak. Alexa made another note of this week, so it's hard to really figure out what's on Lilly's mind. But Alexa tells us a lot and gives us clues about what's going on in Lilly's head. Lilly was already after Shayna by making her lose those 3 matches. Now, Shayna stares Lilly in the face and says that she's just a doll. Then Alexa gives a scary nod to whatever Lilly said after Shayna walked off. So, what do you think is going to happen? Lilly is going to retaliate with a vengeance now towards Shayna. Obviously, Lilly gave an order to Alexa Bliss, and that's what Alexa was nodding to in those closing moments of Alexa's playground. So again, no one knows what Lilly said to Alexa in those closing moments, but judging by Shayna's line and that entire context of the situation, Lilly most likely said something along the lines of, "Let's show her I'm just more than a doll," and that's what Alexa agreed to. If you fill in that line there into that situation, it makes sense why Alexa was intensely agreeing with Lilly. So that sets the stage for next week's Raw. Of course, when you think about everything we just went over, it really seems like we could possibly see another Lilly reveal next week. Something that will stun Shayna Baszler and truly show her that Lilly is more than a doll. Does that mean we'll see Alexa Bliss make a full debut in her Lilly alter ego next week on Raw during this chat? Well, yes, that is a possibility for sure. Everything seems to be set up for that moment. But knowing WWE and how they like to do things, why would you give away that big Lilly reveal on a random episode of Raw? They tend to save those big moments like that for pay-per-view events. Look at The Fiend's debut and his returns. They have always been at special events. So as much as we'd all appreciate to see Alexa portray Lilly already, it does seem like a moment that should be held for a bigger stage than just Raw. So if we get a massive Lilly debut on Raw next week, that'll be fine as well. We all know Raw needs all the big moments it can get nowadays, so it won't be a bad thing, but it does make sense to hold off until Hell in a Cell. Maybe Alexa gives Shayna another small reveal about Lilly and challenges Shayna to a match at Hell in a Cell. That would make these last few weeks of costing Shayna these matches actually mean something. Then Lilly can make her debut at Hell in a Cell. If you really want to just dive into it, might as well make that match a Hell in a Cell match. That'll really set the mood for the big debut of this dark alter ego for Alexa Bliss. Put Lilly and Shayna inside the cell and really showcase Lilly during that match. Not to mention that Hell in a Cell will likely be the last special event inside the Thunderdome. So this will be the last time for WWE to really add that cinematic effect to Alexa Bliss's match before they go back in front of live crowds. Remember that Alexa's character has really benefited from there being no live crowd. All those instances in her matches where she's changing clothes, changing personas, it's all because of those edits and no crowds being there. Alexa won't be able to pull that off come July, so this is really her last opportunity to give Lilly this insane debut match with a bunch of edits and showcasing her abilities. So Lilly was lying low, minding her business and doing all her dirty work from backstage. But after getting called out by Shayna, it looks like Lilly finally has a reason to show someone that she's more than just a doll when she possesses Alexa Bliss. But what are your thoughts on the possibility of seeing Shayna Baszler versus Lilly? Leave your comments. Don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.